Okay, this is from section 2.2 on operations with rational numbers in decimal form. Here we have 4 questions of adding and subtracting integers. In this case, not integers, terminating decimals, both positive and negative. So we look at the first question. We have a positive 2.17 plus a negative 3.42. If we're going to estimate it, we're going to make this a positive 2 plus a negative 3, and my estimation will therefore be the sum of those two, which is negative 1. Now, when I go to calculate, I always ask myself the same question when I have 2 integers or 2 positive and negative numbers. I say, what do I have more of, positives or negatives? And Dane, in the first question, I have more negatives. When I want to know how many more negatives I have than positives, I'm actually going to use subtraction here. So I'm going to subtract decimals by lining up the decimals and subtracting place values. 2 take away 7 I can't do, so I borrow. 12 take away 7 is 5. 3 take away 1 is 2. And 1 take away, or 3 take away 2 is 1. So I have 1.25. And since I know I have more negatives, my calculation will be negative 1.25, which is close to what I estimated it to be at negative 1. In the second example, it's addition. I have negative 1.4 plus more negatives, 3.88. This is the easier of the 2 questions because now I know I don't have more negatives than positives or more positives than negatives. So they're just negatives, which means I'm going to add them together. My estimation will be negative 1 plus negative 4, which is approximately equal to negative 5. That's going to be my estimation. And when I add them together, I don't need to have my negative symbols. I just need to line up my decimals. If I wanted to, but I don't have to, I can put an insignificant 0 there since I'm adding them. 0 plus 8 is 8. 4 plus 8 is 12. Carry your 1, drop your decimal. 3 plus 1 is 4, plus another 1 is 5. So my calculation would be negative 5.28. In question 3, you're subtracting. And when you have a subtraction question, what I recommend everybody does if you get to this point, you can do it however you want, but I like to keep the first integer, change it to addition of the opposite second integer. And here we now went from a grade 9 question very quickly down to a grade 5 question when you learned about place value. 3.4 plus 1.7. My estimation will be 3 plus 2, which is estimated to be 5. Line up your decimals, add them together. 5.1 is my calculation. So it's approximately equal to 5, and it's exactly equal to 5.1. And finally, your last question is subtraction as well. So I'm going to use the same rule of keep the first integer, change it, and use the opposite. When I estimate, I have negative 2 plus a positive 2. My estimation will be approximately closest to 0, so I can expect something that probably doesn't have a whole number in it. It may not, we'll see. What do I have more of once I keep flip change? Positive and negatives. I have more positives. How many more positives requires me to subtract? Now when I subtract these two, I realize that I'm missing a place value here, so I'm going to add an insignificant 0. 0 take away 3 can't be done without borrowing, so I borrow. 10 take away 3 is 7. 3 take away 6 can't be done without borrowing, so I borrow. 13 take away 6 is 7. 1 take away 1 is 0. So my answer is 0.77, and I have to now think, is that a positive or negative? Well, going back to my original question, I have more positives. So therefore, my calculation, or my exact answer, is a positive 0.77.